For over 3,000 years, the ancient Egyptians spoke of a legendary land they called the Land of the Gods, a place so precious, so exotic, that pharaohs sent massive expeditions across treacherous seas to reach it. They called it Punt. But for centuries, historians have asked one burning question. Where exactly was this mysterious land? Where did those ancient ships actually sail? Today, we're solving one of archaeology's greatest mysteries, and the evidence is pointing to a surprising answer: the highlands and coastline of modern-day Eritrea. Punt flourished during ancient Egypt's Golden Age from approximately 2500 BC to 1000 BC, an extraordinary span of 1500 years, spanning the Old Kingdom through the New Kingdom periods. This timeline places Punt alongside Egypt's most magnificent dynasties. When the pyramids rose and pharaohs commanded unprecedented power across the Mediterranean, Punt was there, Egypt's most valued partner. What made Punt invaluable? The Egyptians journeyed up to 3 months by sea for one reason. Punt produced the world's finest frankincense, the most sacred incense in Egyptian religion. Along with myrrh, these aromatic resins were absolutely essential for Egyptian religious ceremonies. Without them, temple rituals could not be performed properly. Every temple required these precious incenses. The Egyptians burned these incenses daily in their temples, using the fragrant smoke to communicate with the gods. In their worldview, Punt supplied the spiritual heart of Egyptian religion itself. Here's what's remarkable. Despite centuries of expeditions and intimate knowledge of Punt, Egypt never invaded or conquered this distant land. This restraint is almost unprecedented in ancient history. Why not conquer such a valuable territory? Scholars believe the Egyptians found trade more practical than warfare across such vast distances. The logistics of military control would have been nearly impossible. But there's a deeper reason. The Egyptians revered the Puntites, calling their homeland the land of the gods. In their worldview, you don't invade the divine. You don't conquer what the gods have blessed. This mutual respect between two great civilizations would define their relationship for over 1,500 years, one of the longest peaceful trading partnerships in human history. For generations, scholars have debated Punt's location. Some placed it in Somalia. Others suggested Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula, or even Tanzania or Mozambique farther south. Modern consensus has narrowed the possibilities significantly. Today, most experts focus on 3 regions: Somalia, Djibouti, and most compelling of all, Eritrea. The mystery persisted because ancient writings were vague about exact locations and distances. Archaeological evidence remained frustratingly sparse for decades. But everything changed in the past 2 decades. Groundbreaking scientific discoveries using DNA analysis, geological studies, and archaeological techniques have revealed the truth, pointing unmistakably toward Eritrea's Red Sea coast. This brings us to a crucial clue the Egyptians left behind: inscriptions mentioning a region they called Bia-Punt. Bia-Punt represents the most documented sub-region of Punt in Egyptian records, and scholars now believe it was located in northern Eritrea's highlands. Ancient texts tell us that Punt served as an intermediary, connecting Egypt with other African nations. But Bia-Punt was special. It was a mining center producing precious metals. During Pharaoh Sesostris, the first's reign around 1950 BC, archaeologists discovered a shrine containing 3 massive stone anchors, the kind used for seagoing vessels. The shrine's inscription is remarkable. It specifically mentions the mining region of Punt and describes bringing back the products of God's land. These two words, mining region, are crucial to understanding why Eritrea is the key to this mystery. Eritrea possesses unique geology. It's the only territory in Northeast Africa entirely characterized by Precambrian rock formations, some of the oldest exposed rock on Earth's surface. Precambrian rocks are among Earth's most ancient geological formations, and they're renowned for containing rich deposits of gold and precious minerals that ancient peoples could extract. An ancient Egyptian tale called The Shipwrecked Sailor provides fascinating corroboration. It describes a voyage to a mining area where the narrator encounters the Prince of Punt. The story describes this prince living on an island overflowing with gold, surrounded by mountains of myrrh and countless precious goods. The wealth seems almost fantastical. The tale mentions a snake prince, eerily similar to the worship of the serpent Arwe among the Habesha people before Christianity's arrival in the 4th century A.D. Now we arrive at perhaps the most compelling modern evidence, the baboons. This discovery changed everything we thought we knew about Punt's location. In ancient Egypt, baboons were sacred animals, representing Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, and the moon, one of Egypt's most important deities. At Hermopolis Magna in Upper Egypt, archaeologists found massive statues weighing 35 tons each, depicting Hamadryas baboons as manifestations of Thoth himself. But here's the problem. Baboons weren't native to Egypt. The Egyptians had to import every single one, and their texts say they came from Punt. Fast forward to the 21st century. Scientists analyzed mummified baboons from Egyptian tombs, some dating back to 800 BC. They extracted complete mitochondrial genomes from these ancient specimens and compared them with modern baboon populations across Africa and Arabia. The results were startling. These ancient Egyptian baboons matched modern Papio-Hamadryas populations in one specific region, Eritrea, specifically the populations living around the ancient port city of Adulis on Eritrea's Red Sea coast. Adulis was no ordinary port. It served as a critical maritime hub with a history stretching back to at least the 1st millennium BC. This port connected Egypt with Arabia and even India through ancient trade networks, and the DNA proves it was also Punt's gateway. The evidence doesn't stop with baboons. In 2004, another discovery provided crucial confirmation. Obsidian. Archaeologists Catherine Bard and Rodolfo Fadovich excavated Mersa Gawasis, an ancient Egyptian port, the very place where expeditions to Punt departed. Among the artifacts they unearthed were fragments of obsidian, a volcanic glass that occurs nowhere naturally in Egypt. This port, known in ancient times as Saw, was the launching point for every major expedition to Punt during the Middle Kingdom. So where did this obsidian come from? The question launched a comprehensive scientific investigation. Scientists performed detailed geochemical analysis on 6 obsidian fragments, comparing them to known sources across the Horn of Africa. They tested obsidian from potential source areas in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Yemen, every volcanic region that could have supplied ancient Punt. 4 of the 6 fragments match perfectly with obsidian from Kusrale in Eritrea. Egyptian ships were carrying Eritrean volcanic glass home from Punt. Now let's examine a fascinating linguistic connection. The ancient Egyptians had a specific name for Punt's people. They called them Khebsi. This ancient Egyptian term may be directly related to the modern Tigrinya word Khebesa, which means Highlander or Highlands. Specifically, it refers to the highlands of Eritrea. The linguistic connection spans 3,000 years of language evolution. Scholars suggest this term evolved from Abstau to HBST, appearing in Aksumite period Arabic inscriptions as Habesha, which became the modern term Habesha. Now let's look at the actual historical expeditions to Punt. The Egyptians kept meticulous records of their journeys across 15 centuries. The earliest reference appears on the Palermo stone, a fragment of Egypt's royal annals listing kings from the 1st through 5th dynasties. These ancient records document impressive quantities: 80,000 measures of myrrh, precious electrum, probably pure gold, and 2,600 wooden staves. Around 2300 BC, an official named Harkuf served under 6th dynasty pharaohs. His account mentions bringing back a dancing pygmy from Punt. In the 11th dynasty, around 2000 BC, an official named Henu led 3,000 soldiers to supervise ship construction for a Punt expedition. Henu's inscription describes fighting off hostile nomadic tribes in the desert. His army dug 12 wells just to reach the Red Sea coast. His account reads, "The army cleared the way, overthrowing those hostile to the king. Then I reached the Red Sea and dispatched the ships." But the most famous expedition was led by Queen Hatshepsut, one of ancient Egypt's most powerful pharaohs, around 1470 BC. In the 9th year of her reign, Hatshepsut ordered a massive expedition and had the entire journey documented on her temple walls at Deir el-Bahri. The relief scenes are extraordinary. They show Egyptian ships arriving, soldiers meeting Puntite chiefs, and valuable goods being exchanged. The expedition was led by Nessi, Hatshepsut's trusted official, who commanded 5 ships carrying soldiers, sailors, and trade goods. The reliefs show myrrh trees being carefully transplanted, exotic animals, gold, ivory, ebony, the wealth of Africa flowing to Egypt. One scene depicts the chief of Punt, a man named Perahu, greeting the Egyptian delegation with words recorded for eternity. He stands with his wife, Eti, and their children, asking the Egyptians, "How have you arrived here? To this land the Egyptians did not know." The reliefs show us what Punt looked like: houses built on stilts, palm trees, even a dog sitting peacefully near the homes. Most importantly, these weren't raids. The inscriptions describe preparing tents to receive Punt's chiefs with bread, beer, wine, meat, and fruits, mutual respect and trade. There's one more crucial piece of evidence: how the Egyptians visually depicted the people of Punt in their art. In the 15th century BC mural from Vizier Rekhmer's tomb at Thebes, different peoples bring tribute to Egypt, arranged in careful rows. The Puntites appear with the same reddish-brown skin tone Egyptians used to depict themselves, distinctly different from how they portrayed Nubians. This pattern repeats across multiple tombs. The Egyptians clearly saw Puntites as physically similar to themselves, supporting an Eritrean highland origin. The last known reference to Punt comes from Ramses III's reign between 1217 and 1155 BC. The Papyrus Harris describes a final expedition, bringing back massive quantities of myrrh, with Puntite chiefs' children traveling to Egypt. This represents the last recorded contact, a poignant end to 15 centuries of connection between these two great civilizations. After 1050 BC, as Egypt's new kingdom collapsed, references to Punt vanish from Egyptian records entirely. The land became mythical, a legendary place spoken of in stories but no longer visited. Punt faded from history into legend. So what does all this evidence tell us? Let's put every piece of this archaeological puzzle together. We have ancient inscriptions mentioning a mining region of Punt, and Eritrea alone possesses the unique Precambrian geology for ancient gold mining. We have DNA evidence from mummified baboons in Egyptian tombs matching modern populations, specifically in Eritrea, around ancient Adulis. We have obsidian fragments from Egypt's Punt expedition port that came directly from Khusrale in Eritrea, physical proof of trade. We have linguistic connections between the ancient Egyptian name for Puntites and the modern Tigrinya word for highlanders. We have 15 centuries of recorded expeditions showing respectful trade, with Puntites consistently depicted as similar in appearance to Egyptians themselves. All of this evidence converges on one unmistakable conclusion: Eritrea, particularly the coastal region around ancient Adulis and the northern highlands, was central to Punt. Was Punt only Eritrea? Probably not. Most scholars believe it encompassed a broader region including northern Ethiopia, Djibouti, and possibly parts of Somalia. But we can say with confidence, Eritrea was the crucial, perhaps essential, component of the legendary land of the gods. The mystery of Punt has captivated historians for generations. Now, piece by piece, the puzzle is finally complete, pointing us toward Eritrea, where one of Africa's greatest ancient civilizations once flourished. Thanks for watching.